everybody knows what that's like. So, Pat, let me ask you this. In the area that you're living in, you represent a plethora of federal workers, many of them upset because of President Trump's executive order that says you got to get out of your pajamas and go back to work if you're within 50 miles of your office. Well, you got to get up and go to work like everybody else starting on February 6th or February 8th or whatever the date is. Uh, but you represent a lot of federal workers in Fairfax. How do you reconcile that? Because a lot of them are upset they have to go back into their
Well,
offices.
I think a couple of things. One is our board actually wrote a letter uh, to Office of Personnel Management trying to get them back to work several years ago, and that had to do with a lot with the metro and the metro not being used and our transportation assets not being used. It's going to be difficult for a number of people in Northern Virginia to have to go back to work, but I think it's something that needs to be done. Telework. I was one of the early leaders in telework back in the 90s with Congressman Frank Wolf. I think telework has its place, but you have to have an employee that can telework. You got to have an employee, a manager that can manage telework with objective goals, and you've got to have a job that can be teleworked. And I think we have swung the pendulum way too far away from telework. We've got to swing it back the other way. And